All right, everybody. Well, welcome to Better 52. This is I think this is our 9th week that we're doing this, our 9th episode. And for those of you that are joining us for the first time, this is a 52-week commitment that we've made here from BetterLoanOfficers.com to share with you content and information to really just help make you better. In the last 18 years, I've been asked many times, what is it that we can do to improve? And this was our way of saying, we're going to commit 52 weeks to doing this. And give you a little bit of an idea, I'm sitting in a conference room in Elizabethtown College in Pennsylvania right now. And I carved out a space, and it's quiet enough here, and they gave me good internet connection, so it should be good. But 52 weeks of doing webinars is a big commitment, but we're excited about it. It's getting us to have some strong conversations, and we're getting lots and lots of positive feedback on it, so we're glad that you joined us here today. And so this month's topic was powerful introductions, and every sales call begins with an introduction, and we wanted to go through not only the brain research and the technique, but some real unique ways to really make it powerful and how we introduce ourselves. And so we're going to begin the way we normally do, and just kind of a quick overview of why this is possible. And Better Loan Officers is a company I founded back in 2013 as a review management software solely focused on the mortgage industry, where you can search, find, and review any licensed mortgage originator in the country. And you'll find powerful tools to manage and leverage and improve your online reputation. And we're excited to say that we are the largest directory of loan officers in the country with over 500,000 profiles. I'm always struck by the statistic, and this is really one of the reasons why we did this, that back in 2008, Business Week said that 70% of people consult reviews or ratings before they purchase. That number now has jumped up to 85% in 2013, and we're still waiting for the 2014 data to come out. But this is powerful. 85% of people are going online to see who you are. And so it's important that, we tell people is that you have an online reputation. The question is it saying what you want, and are you claiming it, or is somebody else taking it over for you? If you haven't done so, please go to the website, and BetterLoanOfficers.com, and you click on the For Loan Officer section and enter in your NMLS ID. And once you do that, you hit search. It'll take you to your results. You'll see there are unclaimed profiles and there are claimed profiles. If you have not done that, it will be unclaimed. Make sure that you click unclaim, claim that profile, and get it started. Lots of great reasons, which we'll even go to towards the end of today, why you want to do that, to create your profile, start collecting the beautiful reviews, the Ethos Verified proto sheet, which we'll talk about today, the areas, the 5 pillars of Ethos, where you're measuring and building trust, connecting via social media, and of course the on-time closing percentage. Lots of powerful stuff there. Our vision is to be the voice and currency of trust, and we're constantly trying to tie that back to you, the originator, and how can you leverage your reputation to start driving more business and have longer lasting relationships. And we're going to do that through our mission of providing tools that give you a voice that conveys trust to your referral partners. That's one of the things that we're here today is each month we have a topic. We're going to break that down into 4 sections. 1 is an overview, 2nd is a tool, 3 is an industry overview. Last week we had Michael Mayer, fantastic conversation. And the 4th week, we kind of tie it together to see how we can put it together and leverage the technology. And one of my favorite visuals is this alignment piece where we go out, I think all of us can relate to setting a goal and yet feeling so disorganized in approaching that goal, and sometimes things are working against us. And really what we're trying to do is help you set that goal and understanding what your goals are, but really align all of those little pieces that come together to make it powerful. That's what the Better 52 really is about. And if you recall, we found that everything that we do in this around the 6 money-making activities, and there's only 6 ways that you make money. It's prospecting, and the goal of prospecting is to generate leads. And once you generate a lead, now you can set an appointment with them with the goal of getting a date, time, and a place. So these 2 pieces are critical for the mortgage and sales process. You have to prospect every week, if not every day, generate those leads, set those appointments. And so then when you get there, what are you presenting? Are you winging it, or do you have a structured process for doing so? And the goal of the presentation is to create credibility, differentiate yourself, and gain their trust so that you can gain commitment and then get to the aftercare follow-up and generate referrals. So that's that continuum process that once you get it moving, now all of a sudden it becomes self-perpetuating. And so we identify what sales activities are and commitment objectives, all the stuff that you can go back and find on in our learning center, going back over the previous webinars. And so our first this month was powerful introductions, and then we went into the next piece, week 6, on how to make a good first impression. We went into the brain research and what was going on there, And then we went into what we call the influence equation, which I'll recap some of these different pieces. And the challenge with first impressions is that it's a balancing act. I mean, you've got to go out there and be the kind of person that people want to make a decision to do business with. And there's things that drive from a logical perspective and things that drive from an emotional perspective. But to remember that first impressions are more powerful than fact. It doesn't matter what the facts are. It matters what people are perceiving and what they're believing. If you recall that we have two systems, System 1 and System 2, that are at work all the time. System 1 being that automatic, intuitive, instinctual primary part of it that makes very quick decisions. They call it the fast-thinking brain, and the slow-thinking brain, which is considered effortful and focused. It's a little bit slower, more methodical. We have to have both of those at play, but if we don't understand how that System 1 can be triggered, we're going to become a victim of it. Here's your System 1 at work. It didn't take you but a split second to know exactly how it was that she was feeling, because your System 1 picked it up, it knew exactly what to do about that. So it's very important to have that System 1. System 2 is a little different. 35 times 246, you've got to sit back and think. It doesn't just work right away. You have to sit back, calculate, and be more methodical. The challenge with this is that a lot of us will present our value proposition from a System 2 standpoint, and we forget that System 1 is going to make that quick decision of, do we trust you? Do we like you? Can we do business with you? And so we're going to be creating and giving you a tool and showing you how to use what I believe the most powerful tool that we've created in the Pro Sheet to help create that instant System 1 piece. And so again, this is a System 2 piece. It's important to remember it's not just what you say, but it's how you say it. We looked at the research behind all of this. And so as we go with that, you also remember the golden circle from Simon Sinek and the why, how, and what, on how Dell communicates this outside-in approach, and everybody else, most of us communicate, saying, here's what I do, here's how I do it, and we expect the behavior. Dell says, we're a great computer company. We make custom products delivered to your door at an affordable price. Do you want to buy one? And it's not real inspiring. In fact, most of us think at that point, well, how much is it? If you give me a great deal, maybe I'll buy 2 for 1, 30% off, something that, is a good deal, then I'll buy. But, if we run a business based on having to use some sort of marketing promotion or price break, we're driving transactions. We're not driving loyalty at this point. Transactions and price points and price breaks and things that are great at driving behavior. It's only required one time, but none of you want people to buy from you once. You want them to buy from you repeatedly. And that requires you create loyalty, and that's how Apple communicates from the inside out. They begin with why, and their message is very different. It sounds like, we believe in pushing the bounds of the status quo in everything that we do. We do that by making products that are beautifully designed, easy to use, and user-friendly. We just happen to be a computer company. And you feel the difference in because they begin with purpose, something that's inspiring to you, something that you can emotionally connect to. If you believe in that, then you'll follow that. And that's what Simon is talking about. So people do not buy what you do. They buy why you do it. If you do get a chance, please go out and get this book. I think it's one of the most powerful books written in recent history. It will change the way that you think. And we talked about the power of framing. Here's me, a picture of me inside of a normal frame, wooden frame, pretty normal. And so I always tell people, how powerful is framing? Well, I'm going to keep the same content to change the frame, and you tell me if you have a different perception of that. So we know that even though we shouldn't make judgments of what's surrounding and just look at the content, that's not how we function. Our System 1 instantly sees the pink hearts and everything surrounding that picture, and it's so overpowering that it's hard to ignore to focus on just the content because we see all the other things that are around. So if you're driving a business and running a business that maybe it's a little rougher on the edges, all the pieces aren't there, but yeah, you know what? You always come through, right? You always come through at the end. Well, that may be true, but is the process of doing business with you so painful or so confusing that some people lose sight of what the content is? And so I say, if you can control it, let's make sure that we make all the pieces stay in there. We played the game of what's your favorite color? And everybody said, red, blue, green, or whatever it was, their favorite color. And we reminded ourselves that we need to go back and create that frame to do that. So just answering the color, we go back, and if you remember my story, instead of just saying my favorite color was X, I said, well, I was born in Miami. And I lived in Miami until I was 7, and then moved to Minnesota when I was about, I moved to Minnesota when I was about 7, and lived in Miami and Minnesota half time, so I was about 15. And so I never really felt at home, except when I was on the beach. If I was on the beach and I saw a palm tree, I knew I was close to my people, I was close to my food, I was close to all the things that were really important to me, and that's when I felt at home. And so my favorite color is green, color of a palm tree. So now, in just a ridiculously simple question of what's your favorite color, you learn so much about me, who I am, where I'm from. And we do that not to say that we want you to answer this question this way every time. We do this to help your brain think in the right sequence. And that sequence is what we came down to with the influence equation. What we tell people is you never want to answer that question in the here and now. You know, if they ask you a direct question of what are interest rates and closing costs, or what's your favorite color, and you answer, you're dead in the water, because now they either have what they want, confirm what they were looking for, and now they're ready to move on to somebody else or to find a cheaper rate. But in reality, we all know that interest rates fluctuate, so we don't want to answer that question here and now. We want to go back, and we want to create that frame by which they understand what that data is, and then we can give it to them and to make sure that we claim the frame and then tie it down afterwards. And tying it down means to answer the question of what this means to you is. So what this means to you is, so somebody says to you, what are your interest rates and closing costs? And instead of answering the here and now, you go back and you create a frame. The frame might be something along the lines of, you know, it's a great question, and a question we get often. And in fact, you know, all of us, all mortgage companies, we have access to the same banks and virtually the same interest rates, and which really means we can all offer almost the same product. But the reality is that interest rates fluctuate on a daily basis. And so if you want to know your interest rate, the sooner you get your paperwork in and we get everything in, we can calculate what your accurate interest rate would be. Anybody that would quote you a rate right now isn't taking into account that by the time you actually get your paperwork in, that rate could actually change. And so if you're interested in getting something, let's get this process moving forward. And really what that means to you is the sooner that we get started, probably the better rate that we'll be able to secure you. How soon can I get that documentation? So that's how, in a simple way of putting all three of those pieces together, instead of answering this in the here and now, go back to the honest answer. And I say it's honest because we don't know what interest rates are going to be by the time they get everything back to us. And we also know that interest rates aren't the most important thing. And anybody who's doing that, anybody's getting you to talk about interest rates first, they have now forced you into a corner to talk about what is not important. What is important is that people have the solution solved that they need, and you do not have enough information to solve that need. Interest rates is only one of the pieces of the puzzle, and we need to ask more questions, and we need to get the consumer, the buyer, the realtor, whoever it is we're dealing with, to start thinking from a bigger perspective. So then we go to this question, so what do you do? And most people say, well, I'm a mortgage banker, and I love to educate people. Well, all of a sudden, we've answered the question, there's no frame about it, and we sound just like everyone else. And so we want to make sure we split that process around, and we create the frame before we do that. We showed you a methodology of developing your why. So people say, so what do you do? Well, let's say I'm a loan officer. What's unique about you? I give great advice. So why do you do what you do? What do you believe in? What are you passionate about? What are those pieces there? And this is where we want to begin, is starting this process backwards from why into what, and then into how, and then into what. And so again, go back and watch some of the old webinars. This is where we went into deep detail about these different pieces. So today I want to go into this piece here. Aristotle was one of the greatest philosophers, I think it's close to 2,000 years ago, and he was the first to talk about argumentative thought or rhetorical dialogue. And really what that means is it's really about public speaking and persuasion from either the written form or the spoken form. And he created the three pillars or the three emotional appeals or the three psychological appeals that really have to come into play anytime you're going to be persuasive or argumentative. And all three of these equate to Greek words of ethos, pathos, and logos. If you are familiar with our product, now you know you're going to understand where ethos comes from. Ethos is your credibility. And that's why we listen to doctors, because they carry ethos. And they've been through the education. They tell us something. If it's around medicine and things of that nature, we tend to follow them. It's their trustworthiness, their reputation, their tone, and their style. And I always use the example, would you listen to somebody who's drastically overweight? Would you listen to their advice on how to lose weight and how to stay healthy? No, you probably wouldn't, because they don't have any ethos. There's no credibility there. Or the same is true if you were somebody that was broke and trying to tell you how to build wealth. You probably wouldn't listen to them either, because they carry no ethos. And so when we look at that piece, the power of ethos lies in the fact that it's not owned by the speaker. It's not owned by the loan officer. It's something that's owned by its audience. So, for example, you all came on today's webinar, and partially because hopefully you believe that I have the ethos to be able to talk about what it is that we're doing today. But now I have ethos for a moment, but at any point in time, you all could take that ethos away from me because you own it. If I didn't talk about something valuable, if it was offensive in some sort of way, you would instantly remove my ethos and would get there. So it's a powerful word, and that's why we use it as well. Pathos is the emotional appeal. It's the way that we actually get people to take action. If a doctor tells you, and we know this for a fact, hey, you know what, you're not healthy, you need to lose weight, well, we would believe the doctor. But if that's the only reason he'd tell us, most of us wouldn't do anything about it because there was no ethos there. A study was done out of Johns Hopkins University where they took angioplasty patients, people that had their chest cavity broken open just to relieve some pressure on the chest and, in essence, root their veins because they had so much buildup in those veins. $100,000 procedure. People could die from it, purely 100% reversible, and yet people are still dying from it. And what they told people is that if you don't change, you will die. And then they measured the results, and shockingly, 9 out of 10, 90% of people were back within 2 years and made no change. Think about that. The doctor had this great credibility, but offered no ethos, or no pathos, no emotional appeal. The last piece is the logical appeal, the reason, the argument, the facts, the figures, the case studies, all of those different elements. If I move you emotionally and I'm a credible person, but I don't lay out a clear plan, how am I supposed to act? That's where the logic comes into play. Here, the step-by-step process of what needs to happen. If I think about it, let's say that we had pathos and logos, but no ethos. Gosh, somebody moved you emotionally, and man, the plan makes sense, but at some point you're going to be like, okay, who are you? Where did you come from? So you've done this before? If you get those kinds of questions, it means that you're lacking in ethos. This is why it's so powerful, that triangle for trust that Michael Mayer was talking about is if you're meeting with somebody and you both have a mutual person in common, the more you talk about that mutual person, you are now associating the trust of that person onto the other person and vice versa. And so as you look at all three of these, this is how I dissect any presentation, any speaker, anybody that I'm looking to hire or work with. Do they have the credibility? Can I trust them and their reputation to do this? Do they have ethos? Do they command respect? Pathos, are they somebody that is passionate, somebody that can be emotional to drive behavior? Do they have empathy? Those are important to me. And lastly, what's the plan? What's the logic behind how it is that they're doing this? And what do we need to do to make that even more powerful? So when we look at this ethos piece, that's why we chose Ethos Verified as our symbol when you get verified with Better Loan Officers. It's because we know that verification is your credibility. That's that voice and that currency of trust. And you've been vetted out by a third party, not only by a third party, but by 3 real estate agents and 3 consumers. All have said this is who this person is, and they've rated you and given you testimonials to say, and ranked you in essence in each of the 4 categories, 5 categories. So very powerful piece. Now you understand where the backdrop of this. And so I always say that, ethos is a term first used by Aristotle for character and credibility. Very powerful. So we created the 5 pillars of ethos. And we believe that these 5 areas are the areas where trust is most built in the mortgage industry. We know that so much trust has been lost. And we said, how can we choose these areas in a way that we believe if we do well in these 5 areas, you will have a very easy time generating business and building new relationships. Of course, the first one is communication, how well we communicate. Accuracy of fees. We can't, that's not only regulatory, but man, talk about trust building, just being accurate. Responsiveness. Are you calling people back on time? Do you respond to needs? Are you there and available when the client or customer or realtor needs you? And then turnaround time. Are you turning things around and getting things done in a timely manner? And the last one is our on-time, our OCP score, our on-time closing percentage. And this piece, at the end of each one of the surveys, and the reviews that people leave, they're asked simple questions, yes or no, did your loan close on time? If the answer is yes, it goes on. If the answer is no, it opens up a box and asks for a detail behind why. We also understand that a lot of people do close loans on time, but the consumer forgets that the date had to be moved because of something maybe the consumer did. So we have a process built in to make sure that people can have that dialogue. And so to become Ethos Verified, there are 5 things that need to happen. One of them is you have to be a member. 2, have a valid NMLS ID. 3, consumer reviews. 3, realtor reviews, and your headshot. Once you have all of these pieces, you've now then unlocked the ethos verification component as well as the marketing tools located inside your profile. So very powerful to make sure you have all of these pieces in play. It becomes handy during the search as well when you're verified. So you look at somebody up here who's verified, somebody who's not even claimed their profile, and you look at the time of purchase or decision. Which way are they going to choose? We know that in real estate and mortgage that it's between 81 and 92% of people will do business with the first or second person that they meet. So if you're number 3, you're not even in the game. And so how do you become that number 1 or number 2 to even get a chance to pitch the business and to pitch the relationship? That's what we're going to be talking about. So here's what a profile looks like when it's fully filled out. Tyler Osby is an absolute animal when it comes to reviews on every single one of the sites. He's by far the most reviewed loan officer I've ever seen. He's also the most reviewed loan officer in Iowa, the state of Iowa. I think that probably expands to many other states as well. But when you do fill out your profile and you do achieve the 3 realtor reviews and the 3 consumer reviews, you get your headshot. Now you then unlock this pro sheet. This is one of the most powerful things that we've seen in a long time come our way. And so think about this scenario. We've all been there where the realtor hands out 3 business cards, and so many different reasons why people hand out business cards. But the big reason is the realtor got their hands burned in the past, and so they're trying to now mitigate risk. And of course, there's no steering and things like that, but really, at the end of the day, they're trying to mitigate risk. But we look at this and see, wouldn't it's the realtor's job, and our job is to try to, especially if we've been in this industry a long time, to try to really vet out who is trustworthy and who isn't trustworthy. But let's just say that you were in the scenario and these 3 business cards were handed out. You'd have to cross your fingers and hope that they call you first. And wondered, what is it that drives the decision? Why would they choose one person over the other? And so the pro sheet is this. Basically, imagine 2 cards that get handed out, but when they hand out yours, it looks something like this. Who would you choose? So what is that pro sheet? Well, it's your profile. It's the About You section in your BetterLoanOfficers profile. It's a beautiful display of the 5 stars and the ratings that you've been able to get. It's a display of some of your best testimonials. It has your on-time closing percentage, your ethos verified stamp, and it's third-party endorsed by us, plus all your contact information. I mean, it's all there. And so if they're handing out 2 business cards and then they hand out this, which one do you think is going to be the first one chosen? It's pretty simple. That's one of the reasons why we gave this, is because we're talking about powerful introductions. Sometimes your introduction, you don't have a chance to shake hands. Sometimes your introduction is a business card or a handwritten name on a piece of paper. But what if your first introduction could be this sheet where your realtors have a pile of these ready and available? What if it was available on their phone that they could just email it to them? Say, oh, yeah, well, you need to get pre-approved, and they click a button, and all of a sudden that new client or new prospect, new lead, has all your information, and they're filling it out. So when we talk about the pro sheet, take a closer look at this. A very powerful piece where this is automatically generated when you become ethos verified. I mean, you have to be a paying member, have 3 real estate reviews, 3 consumer reviews, and a headshot, and then you unlock this. So you'd be surprised at how many people aren't taking advantage of something like this. But our best clients print off 50 of these, go looking around, knocking on doors at real estate offices, and just introduce themselves. Hey, my name is such and such, and this is what I'm doing. I just want to leave one of these with you. You'll learn a little bit about me. And you'd be surprised, number 1, the amount of conversations that happen, and 2, just the amount of leads that are generated just by being around. So anyways, this is the pro sheet. Make sure that you sign up, get it, unlock it, and start leveraging it. I want to hear stories too, by the way. Those of you that are using this and it's working, it's not working, call me personally. I will personally walk you through this because I want to know what your experience is like and what's working, and definitely help you find ways to get most benefit out of it. So I'm going to close with this piece, and then because I think I'd like to open up for questions on how we can apply some of these different pieces that we've been talking about. So again, if you have not signed up, make sure you go and claim your profile. If you do want to upgrade and become a pro, we have a discount code here to the end of the month for 30% off. It's Ethos Pro 30, but the S is an actual $. all capitals, it'll get you about $100 off the $294 per year pricing. So with that, I know you guys have probably been kind of listening passively, but I'm going to open it up here for some questions. And so I'm hoping some of you on the phone can come up with questions, things that you're facing, how we can apply some of these different pieces, what really anything goes. So I'm going to put it out there, and I see some familiar faces out there, so I'm going to, hopefully you guys will say something, Greg Frost or Jerry Santoro or even Bob Catalano, Lisa, help me out. Oh, we got John Murray on the phone too. Look at that. We got some superstars and some mortgage celebrities out here. So, questions. Raise your hand. I might even just call you out here. What questions do you have on applications and how we could apply this? And I know this is always the awkward webinar moments when we try to get people to speak up. So I'm going to keep looking here. What questions do we have? How we can apply this? Bob Catalano, can I put you on the spot? I'm going to unmute you for a minute and see if this works.
Yeah, definitely.
Bob?
I did have a question for you.
Perfect.
Can you hear me, Rene?
Yeah, I can. If you turn your speakers down just a little bit.
Okay.
Perfect. So first of all, how are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Doing well. Thanks for joining us today. What questions going through your mind?
Not related so much to what you were talking about today, but I love Better Loan Officers, and I'm interested, is there a link that I can add to my own personal website for Better Loan Officers?
In terms of when you say
Or a widget that we can add to our own personal website that we use to connect to Better Loan Officers?
Yes. In fact, there's a whole slew of marketing tools that I'm going to pause my screen here for just a minute so I can actually pull it up. But there's a whole slew of marketing tools that allow you to not only embed your profile within it, you guys can see my screen now, but also invite people. We have a lot of people that actually take their profile and put it into their signature of email. And if you remember, I'm a really horrible multitasker here. BetterLoanOfficers.com. And then, sorry, I got to type here first. And I said that right. Oops, I learned how to spell. There we go. And so once you embed that into your profile, people can see. I'll open one of these up here. Tyler's lucky because always has he's got a very easy one to remember. So when you go into the marketing tools piece here at the top, you click and you'll see that you have profile tools as well as review tools. What's nice is we allow for you to put your own custom apply for a loan link in there. But I think what you're asking about is to get reviewed or to see your reviews, you have these links. So everybody's got their own, link to their profile. And it has all the SEO features there. We're starting to see some monster SEO action on our end in terms of seeing us show up on much higher on the Google search rankings. So yes, you can add these links. You can even embed your profile here with an iframe right into your website. There, you can even ask for reviews via all of these social media links and everything. So the answer is absolutely.
Great. Awesome. That's what I was looking for. Thanks, Rene.
Absolutely. Thanks, Bob. So any other questions? Anybody else there? I'm going to see. Okay, Chris Randall. I logged in late. And when will it be posted? So, Chris, I'll make sure that you get that. All of these are posted within about 48 hours on our link, and you'll see it here under the Learn section. And I'm logged in, so I'm going to go through this way. Here we go. Where you go to the home site, you go to For Loan Officers right here, and you'll see a Learn section where you'll see Better 52 past webinars, and you click on that. When you click on that, it's going to take you to all of our webinars. This is actually, it's not next week. That was last week. That's being fixed. And so you'll see all of our webinars there. So I'm going to see, you're welcome. Lisa, if I can put you on the spot. I'm probably catching you off guard here, but you've been on almost every single one of these, and I'm going to see if I can unmute you. Lisa, are you there?
I am here, Rene.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for joining us so often here. Well, tell us, give us a question, something that not only you are thinking about, but I'm guessing that other people are thinking about as well.
Actually, so I was actually just thinking, because I'm starting up a campaign with some realtors that they're sending me a lot of their leads. And so besides my phone call to them, I'm doing a lot of, those first emails. So actually, as you were talking about BetterLoanOfficers.com, I need to get my reviews on there. But I was trying to figure out a way with my, you talked a lot about those first impressions, and obviously over my email, we talked about signature lines, but creating that great first impression with that initial phone call and with that initial email that I'm not getting to meet them face-to-face.
Right. So anytime you're doing, I'm sorry, keep going.
No, I was just, so that's my, so obviously always working better in person, but I struggle with that initial, even talking about that warm, when you were talking about your colors, why you do this, but getting them to open up while you're either on the phone and not being, that initial reaction of, oh yeah, you're trying to get me, to do something, and then that initial email. So that's.
Absolutely. Well, I think think about it this way. That, whether it's cold, whether it's warm, whether it's anybody, business only happens when people trust each other.
Right.
And obviously when it's a warm referral, trust happens quicker. But trust can happen really fast even on a cold referral. It all depends on how it's done. And so what I think you're trying to do is having a phased approach to introduce yourself, within steps to try to build that trust. One of the things that we do obviously recommend is get your pro sheet done. Because if you can get this thing done, we have people who are sending these out ahead of time, dropping them off, mailing them out, and just saying, I just wanted to take a moment and introduce myself. This is a little bit about me. I'll be calling you next week. And now they may or may not take it, or they say, hi, this is Lisa. Calling, I actually just sent you an email, so you can, a little bit about me, but I wanted to talk to you about X, Y, and Z. If you're calling, are you calling some of these realtors? Is that what you're trying to do?
Well, most of the realtors I already have a relationship with, so they all have, so I've already created that, and two of them actually have websites in which then they're getting leads off of their website, and so they're just sending me these leads that they have either their team of realtors calling, and then they want me to also follow up to kind of create that financing and, property.
And they're sending you these leads because they trust you already, correct?
Right, correct.
And so now let's remember this. They trust you, which means that they know that you're going to get the deal done, which means that they want they want that consumer to use you. What I would do is go and show that realtor and get them a PDF copy of this and print off 50 of these things. Make sure they drop them off at their desk, put it in a file, manila folder with their name on it, and so they have it there. And tell them, saying, when you refer me, can you please either email this to them or hand them one of these. So when I call, it's that much easier. And the reason why I'm doing that, Mr. Realtor, here is the tie down, right? Remember we talked about framing and tie down. The reason why I'm doing that is the quicker that I can build trust with them, the sooner we can secure this and get things closed on time for you. There's going to be zero argument on their end. In fact, what you've done here is you made yourself easier to refer. Giving referrals is never easy. Because, when I say it's never easy, you got to search your phone for a phone number. If you don't have a business card, you got to write it down. If you're on the phone, you got to put your phone down and start searching. If you can just hand them something like this, and instantly it has all of that, it's there. And so here's another piece, though. If you're calling does that answer that question?
Yes.
Perfect.
So can you tell me, when you were talking about handing it out, you also said that some people were using this and they had it right on their phone. How do they have it right on their phone?
So if you go to your profile, and if you have an iPhone, you can click a button that says Save to Home Screen.
Okay.
And so when you do that, it's going to save the page to home screen. But we designed this so that it saves your headshot as the button.
Oh, cool.
Right? And so when you look at that, you'll see that your face will pop up there. And what I have all my clients do is go into your best realtors and say, let me see your phone. Can you pull up this for a minute? And they'll pull up your profile, or I just sent you a text message with my profile. Click the link. It brings up your profile. Then you say, here, let me show you something. And you click the Save to Home screen. It saves it to their home screen. And they look at this and say, oh, there's your face. So, yeah, anytime you have a question, click on my face. You'll have my phone number. You'll have my contact information. And you'll be able to download this pro sheet right here and be able to email it to whoever it is. So this is Tyler's pro sheet. Always pops up in the background somewhere for me. But it'll pop up that pro sheet, and he'll be able to email that out.
Awesome.
Oops, there it is. So yeah, so save that. Make sure you save it to them. The other thing that I have people do, if you are calling a realtor cold, is what I find fascinating is that people are so scared to call realtors, but it's actually a very easy thing to do, even if you want to do it cold. And so most realtors, if you look at their website, you're going to find some sort of mission statement, something that they wrote. And of course, if you're reading a mission statement, it's probably pretty cheesy from our perspective. But if you have ever written a mission statement, you know the hours and the grueling work that goes into putting something like that together. And once you finish, man, that thing means a lot to you. But it doesn't mean much to anybody else. And so I tell people, they say, well, their mission statements are boring. I say, well, you're missing the point. You're missing the fact that they spent hours, if not days, putting that thing together. And so you're looking at it from your perspective, but you got to be able to approach them from their perspective. And so I literally have called agents, and I'll do it all the time live, and say, Mr. and Mrs. Agent, I said, I was just on your website. Somebody had given me information, and I saw your mission statement, and I was really intrigued. Can you tell me more about it? And you'll watch 100% of the time. Even if the person goes, well, I just made it up, they're not going to say that. And say, well, I'm glad you asked. I mean, this is something I've been saying. And they'll start talking, and they'll start talking, and they'll start talking. And your job at that point is to really find something that interests you, and to really find a way, how can you like this person? What is it that you really enjoy, and that can you connect with? If you connect with nothing they're saying, then they're probably somebody you don't want to do business with. But most often than not, if we really, truly just listen to people, you'll find out some things that you can connect with and you can tie back. And I always like to go back to something that I believe, which is, Mr. and Mrs. Realtor, I've been in this business a long time, and I've come to learn that I much prefer doing business with people that have a like set of values. And from what you're telling me here, it looks like we may have an alignment. But let's explore it a little bit more. I'd love to take you to coffee. I see there's a Starbucks a few blocks away from your office. I'm available Thursday or Friday this week. Which one of those days works better for you? And book the appointment. And so, but you've started with something that is about something that's important to them. You found alignment with yourself, if you actually have, and then you move that to call to action, and you book the appointment. So, and then you can even follow that up with something like this and send it to your site, and now all of a sudden they see what's cool. And if you're smart like Tyler, he's not only represented in Better Loan Officers, but he is represented in all the other sites as well, Angie's List, Trulia, Yelp. And so if you have invested in those sites, we create a section in here that you can control, where people can not only see what people say about you from us, but all the other sites as well. So what's really powerful about our profile sheet is that most people use the profile almost as a personal web page, because they can control the apply for a loan button. They can control all of the custom links here. And really, why do you send people to a website? To show that you're credible. Well, what's better than to see how you're rated, third-party endorsed, get a hold of you through all your social media channels, call to action to apply for a loan, download your pro sheet, leave a review, see all your contact information, and see what consumers and realtors are saying about you. It really is one of the most powerful ways to hold onto a website. So does that answer your question, Lisa? I kind of went on a little bit.
Yeah, that's great, Rene. No, that's awesome.
Perfect. Any other questions on that?
No, I'm good. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, I'll open it up for one more question. Anybody else have anything? Just raise your hand if you can. There's a little button there to raise hands. All right, so Chris, we got your question. And we'll give you guys another 5 seconds. If you have a question, now would be the time to ask. 5, 4. All right, and I'll keep an eye out for any questions as we close out here. All right, I wanted to keep it kind of short and sweet and to the point. Please go out and reserve your free profile. There's fantastic tools out there, and if you find value, use the Ethos Pro 30 with the $ in the middle there to get you 30% off, and claim your profile today. Next week we're going to be starting a whole new topic. Be on the lookout for the emails. Also, please, if you can, share these emails with other people in your office and people that you know. We want to get the word out, and really, the more people that we get on these, the more feedback we're getting on what's valuable, the better conversations we're able to have with people as well. So I want to thank you. If there's no other questions, I'm going to let you guys off early today. Thank you again. Again, this is Rene Rodriguez with BetterLoanOfficers.com, and this has been our Better 52. Have a great rest of the day.